Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss with you about a play that is by George Bernard Shaw, and this play is very famous for so many reasons. First, I would like to take the name that is Saint John. Saint John is a famous play by George Bernard Shaw that was published in 1924. And when you talk about assistant professor job, you talk about lecturer, PGT, UGC net. In all these exams, there is a question from Saint John more often. So this is a question before you. In PPT you can see there is a question and that is from UP Government Degree College's assistant professor job. And the question is in scene 1 of Bernard Shaw's St. John, Sir Robert D. Baudricourt is blustering about the lack of what? This let me tell you that sometimes they ask questions from the summary or the scene of a particular play. So we need to not only have the facts about the publication, but also we need to keep in mind a brief summary of that particular play. If you don't keep in mind a brief summary, there would be possibility that we miss the question. Here is a question about its very beginning. Scene one question is there. That is Sir Robert D. Baudricard is blustering about what? He is blustering about actually eggs. Eggs are lacking. The hens are not giving eggs actually. Then Joan of Arc, about whom this story is. Saint John actually is based on the real story of Joan of Arc. And Joan of Arc actually, when she comes, she's a lady, when she comes, hens start giving eggs. This seems to be a kind of supernatural story where we have like a person comes and because of her having the impact, the effect, that everything turns into positive for a particular country, France. Let me tell you what actually historical events are. In this play, this is a real story about Joan of Arc, that you must know that France was actually captured by England. It was colonized by England. And they were trying to get release from England. And then this personality, Joan of Arc, a lady was there, who used to wear actually men's clothes. And she supports the main soldiers there and says, let me fight for you. Let me lead you. Because she used to say that I have heard the voice of the God that I should fight for you people. And she gets success at the same time. But because it was not usual thing, it was a kind of supernatural thing that happened. It was thing that was magical in nature. So people started thinking that she was a witch. And because she was considered to be a witch, she was burnt alive. And when she was burnt alive, her heart could not be burnt. Executioner there says her body was burnt, but her heart could not be burnt. And later on, English church realized, and the public there, people realized that they did a wrong thing, they did a mistake. She was a saint at the place of a witch. And after 500 years, she was canonized as a saint. And she is now praised, worshipped as a saint. Let me tell you, this story is very pathetic because a lady was burnt alive. A lady who fought for her country was burnt alive, who was found guilty of heresy against the church and the political feudal system. That time it was a feudal system. John of Warwick was very much concerned with the feudal system. And Saint John said that it's a God who represents, who it's a king who represents God. So there was a fear in the mind of John of Warwick. And also the Church of England was fearsome of Saint John, that she as a human being without any interference of church is claiming that she has the voice of God. She listens to the God. in her dreams. So they did not also like it. They thought it will be devaluing church. So it's a church and the political system there became responsible for St. John's being burnt alive. A lady, a young patriot was burnt alive. And when she was burnt alive, then after 25 years, the news comes that the punishment that she was given, the public there, the king people there realized it was wrong. And after 500 years around, it was accepted and she was canonized as a saint. I hope you understand this play, what this story is about. Let's go through PPT here. St. John is a chronicle play in six scenes. This was first performed in 1923. It was published in 1924. It was inspired by canonization of Joan of Arc in 1920, nearly 5 centuries after her death in 1431. We should not forget that this burning alive was done in the month of May 1431. 1431, 15th century story, 1431 story. And this canonization takes place later on, 500 later, around 500, because it was in 1920 that she was canonized as a saint. So attributes John's visions to her intuition. George Bernard Shaw says whatever vision she has intuitions, intuitive power, which used to tell her that what could be done for the country of France to make it free from the cruel clutches of England. So this is story of Joan of Arc, the real historical event. She was a French peasant girl, a simple ordinary girl she was, and she helped Dauphin become King Charles VII. So Dauphin actually did not trust earlier Saint John, but Saint John, due to her leadership abilities, made Dauphin turn into a king by her continuous victories against British army. And when she says that England should be made completely out of France, King Charles VII and others said no. We are happy with this much only, the victories that you have already done. We should not go beyond that. It will be something extraordinary. And they say that they are not going to support St. John if she is caught. And what actually happens? She is finally caught at the hands of British army. When the when she said that she wanted to support de Baudricourt, actually a captain, then she was only 17 or 18 years old. And this very famous event that hence she started giving eggs because Joan of Arc came there is something repeatedly asked. She informs everybody that she has been sent by God to drive the English out of France and crown him king. Dauphin was not the king, and later on he was crowned the king just because of Joan of Arc, a young lady of 17, 18 years. So John de Stongenburg, chaplain and the Earl of Warwick discuss John and they say that she must be a witch. Caution believes John is guilty of heresy. Warwick is less concerned with the problem John poses to the church. Rather, he is afraid of her because he thinks feudal structure will be broken. Finally, we have scene 5 where King Charles VII is being throned and he was earlier Dauphin. He becomes king just because of the efforts of Joan of Arc, Saint John. By May 30, 1431, John has been captured by the English and is on trial for heresy. She is burned alive. but her heart could not be. This is what the executioner says. 25 years later, John's death, Ladvini comes to King Charles VII to announce that the charges brought against John has been reversed. Then John comes. She was burnt alive. Then she comes in dream of Charles VII. And finally we have this, that after 500 years she is canonized. But this play ends with the lines that John cries, O God that madest this beautiful earth, when will it be ready to receive thy saints? How long, O Lord, how long? It means she is trying to say this world is cruel for the people like innocent people and saints like her. And she is praying God, oh God, when this beautiful earth is going to be ready to receive thy saints. So this is a story where we can say exceptional, extraordinary saints, people not accepted in the ordinary society. They don't understand these people. They, at the place of understanding, recognizing them as saints, they start thinking of them to be witches, and they go to the extent to burn them alive at the same time. So the world is not ready for saints. Exceptionally extraordinary people are misunderstood. So this is a very pathetic story and also portrays a real picture of a society where such people who are innocent, who are patriot, who are exceptionally noble are misunderstood. I hope you understand what George Bernard Shaw is trying to portray in this play through the real historical event of Joan of Arc, who was burnt alive in 1431, though she was canonized in 1920. Thank you very much for listening to me.